Attention! The National Weather Service has issued a hurricane warning for the entirety of the National Hockey League. Please stay tuned for further information from the Storm Cellar.
Welcome back to the Storm Cellar 7-game win streak edition. With the Hurricanes coming in, March they say comes in like a lion, out like a lamb. I hope it doesn't go out like a lamb, but the Hurricanes have certainly come in like a lion, Ray. What a performance by this team. Call it addition by subtraction. Call it Mark Jankowski having an all-time heater with a new team. Scotty Morrow coming up and showing that he is NHL ready. There's a lot of factors. Brent Burns is not playing like a dead man anymore. Like he's still offensively not good, but his defense has not been terrible, and I'll take it. So what do you think?
There is so much there. And we are not fair weather fans, okay? We aren't. You and I, we call it as we see it. And I mean, thankfully, a 7-game winning streak, there's a lot to see that's really quite good. You know what I mean?
Here's takes a lot of pain away.
It absolutely
makes people
does, doesn't it?
feel good.
and especially last night's performance. I have a lot to say about that, but we can't go there first. No.
Not yet.
That's not how we work. You know what happens in the Storm Cellar. We open up the door and we wait for our Caniacs to join us. And this Caniac, hardcore Caniac, walked all night to get here from Germany.
There had to be some swimming or a boat involved, sir.
Well, okay.
Just saying.
I was thinking that she would just get onto the boat and just keep walking. Or walking up and down the aisle. She got here, and that's all that matters. Carolin from Northern Germany, thank you so much for joining us today.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
And especially since the game for you started last night at 1 o'clock in the morning.
No, last night was actually 12.
Oh, 12. Wow, so much easier for you.
Yeah.
I can feel Eastern time zone fans cringing just at the thought of that. Thank you for joining us, Carolin. It is so good to have you here. And of course, what we do, we love to focus on the fans, the Caniacs, the fuel to the team's fire. We are part of the team too. And I truly believe that. Even the fans in Europe, who don't get the recognition that they deserve when they are staying up as late as they do and staying with us the whole time. So first of all, thank you. I know we love the support, and we want to find out how you became a Caniac. And I would say it like that, and it makes you think like it's something like you caught, like a flu or whatever. But it's not. It's not a flu. It's much, much better at times. And this is one of those times. We want to hear your story. So we're going to shine the spotlight on you, and you can share your story. Tell us how you became a Caniac, a hockey fan, your favorite players. We want to hear it all. And we'll turn the mic to you now. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, so I said before that the story how I became a Carolina Hurricanes fan is kind of ridiculous. And I want to drive the point home. I was 15 at the time, so reasoning was somewhat impaired at that time, and I started watching hockey in general because of fan fiction. That might be controversial, but I think a lot of female fans can relate in that sense, that is something that drives you, like books and fan fiction that drives you to hockey. And then I had the hard decision of deciding what kind of team I want to support. And as someone who is from Europe, you're not really you don't live there. You don't have this home team where you already have this sympathy for them. But I mean, my name is Caroline, so the Carolina Hurricanes were the obvious choice here. As I said, my reasoning was very sound at 15. And at the same time, I think when I became a fan, that was the time where the whole Storm surge started up. And that really got me into it as well. So yeah, that was a huge reason as well.
I love that. I love that. People
Yeah.
and I hate you. Brad remembers Grapes. I don't know if you heard of Grapes, Don Cherry, who complained vociferously. He wasn't the only one. Brian Burke as well complained so much. This is Bush League. This is what are they doing? All the rest of it. And it's called appreciation, fan involvement. It shows that they understand the fans are giving up their time, their money to be there to support them. And it's just a thank you. They only do it during wins. I mean, thankfully at home, we win a lot. That's just the way that is, right? But that's fantastic. And just as good a reason, like, why does anyone like anything? There's always a story to it, right? And the fact that your name, like my wife's name is Carolyn. So, maybe there's just connections everywhere. You know what I mean? Like things that just, it's kismet, it's whatever you want to believe it. But that's fantastic. I notice that you've got a fishy jersey on.
Yes.
I love that. A
And
beautiful jersey.
And I think, is that an Eisbären Berlin jersey hanging up?
Yeah, it is. And I actually bedazzled
Nailed
it
it.
myself. I don't know if you can see that though.
Wow, look at that, Brad.
I love polar bears, and that's how I knew.
Oh, see, there you go.
Because their logo is a polar bear, and I was like, "Oh,
Yeah,
see,
it
it's whatever makes it personal."
That's awesome. That is awesome. Now, Carolyn, so you're a young fan, and what is it about Carolina? I mean, it started out with the name connection, started out with the storm surge. What kept you along? And maybe do you have a favorite player over time? Because like I'm not going to out you as to how old you are, but I think based on the age that you said, you might have missed the dark days, the dark years completely, which good for you, because no one wants the trauma that the rest of us had, and it was trauma. So I threw a lot out there. Keep going. Keep telling
Yeah,
us.
so I did miss the whole dark age. I'm gonna out myself here. I'm 20, so I think the barrier as well for me getting into it when I was younger generally was the language, and the time, of course. Like when you're a lot younger than when I was getting into NHL, you can't really stay up that late. Even the early games are late at that point. And I'm sad about it sometimes. I mean, you said I missed a lot of trauma there, but I also feel like I missed a lot of bonding in that way. When you get like this traumatic experience, it's also very bonding. Be cool. We're not gonna, yeah. But and to touch on the favorite player thing, one of the things that really had me stay with Carolina was Seth Jarvis. He is still my favorite player. He is. I always say he's my boy.
That's not fair. He's my boy. He can be our boy.
Yeah. It's just like, I think when I started watching, that's kind of, he became a rookie that like the season after that, I don't know, honestly, Corona time, that is all a jumble in my head, but it felt like he was there from the beginning. We kind of started at the same time with the Carolina Hurricanes, so it feels like he's been there since I've been here. So that's the connection here. And you mentioned me wearing a fishy jersey. Kind of sad about it as well because you can't get a Seth Jarvis jersey here. Like I literally can't get it. I can't buy one. The only options I have are basically the European players, but that is also limited to Aho, Svechnikov. I think you can still get a Trocheck jersey. I don't know. There was some weird stuff going on where it was like, how can I get that jersey but not Seth Jarvis? I'm so annoyed about that. So yeah.
Yeah.
I'm annoyed about that for you. Trocheck's American.
Yeah,
so
it's really weird.
Just because he's got a European sounding name, that's why that you can't.
Did they think he was Czech?
Maybe.
I don't know. It's just really weird. I think you can't even get a Nature's jersey anymore. You could get a Nature's jersey, and as soon as he was gone, you can't get it anymore. And it's so weird because there's other jerseys where they've not been a Carolina Hurricanes for like 2 or 3 seasons at this point. I mean, Trocheck is even further away, but like, I'm so annoyed at that because I actually kind of wanted a Nature's jersey as well. So yeah, but this was kind of my only option here, and it's actually a kid's jersey as well because it was cheaper.
Well, hey, you do
that
what
is
you
a
gotta
great way to
do,
save
and
money.
it fits, so fantastic, right?
Nobody knows. But
Yeah. I mean, it's just like the jersey thing here in general. I think I complained about it as well. It's just not a good situation. The worst thing is when you go into the website, the NHL Europe website, to buy like fan stuff, the huge picture at the top is Seth Jarvis. Like, he's the ad for it, and I can't get anything from him. That is ridiculous, and I always feel a little bit like they're joking. Like, you're like, what? How?
Yeah, I mean, there is a very solid argument to be made right now that Seth Jarvis is the Canes' best player.
Yeah.
It's hard to argue based on the way he's playing. And further, not only the best player, but he's kind of become the face of the team. Everyone wants to talk to him, and rightfully so. He's charismatic, he's energetic, he's just fun to watch. Is it Amazon Prime?
Yeah, it's Amazon Prime.
Amazon Prime is doing a whole series special on him. So that's going to make you very happy at the very least. Not only do you not have to stay up so late to watch it, you can watch it on your own time, but it's Seth Jarvis. And I mean,
I never thought about the jersey thing for overseas, but even I had to get a jersey, not an NHL jersey, but I had to get a jersey for Ray in Canada because they wouldn't ship across the border to Canada. And I'm like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I never thought about it. That's crazy.
And the fact that they can't even do up a panel one for you, it's wrong. And but what have we said, Brad? NHL, they have serious marketing. We say a lot of things about the league.
But one of the consistent ones is they are terrible at marketing hockey.
Exactly.
Just
like
awful.
You should always be able to get, especially if you're willing to put the picture up of the player, but you can't get the jersey. Like, that's just plain wrong.
Stars Avalanche, the return of Mikko Rantanen to Colorado is today at 3:30. Why is that not an 8:00 game?
It should
or
be
7:00.
time.
I mean,
like here's the thing. Maybe it is at that time because of, in Finland, it's you know what I'm saying? Like,
maybe they did that
closer.
So even then, it's on HBO Max and TNT.
What?
So not everybody's going to get it.
Not everyone can get it. That's unbelievable.
Nope. League marketing.
Go ahead.
I want to say another thing about like this whole thing that I terribly don't get is the whole streaming thing. I just stream it on one platform every game. It's just in Europe you can just get like one app and you can watch any game on whatever platform it's on. Like if it's ESPN Plus, HBO Max, it doesn't matter. I can watch all of them. So it's terribly confusing to me as someone like that doesn't have this problem to understand how they come up with this kind of thing.
I didn't know that. That's amazing for our European fans because that would make things so much easier. I get 90% of the games on ESPN Plus, but only because I don't live in North Carolina.
And I can see all of the games, but I'm tortured by having only, for some reason, I only get the opposition play-by-play broadcasting crew. So I can never actually hear Mike and Tripp. I want to hear them. I want to see Hannah. I want to see Shane Willis. I want to see them all. Give me the goods. Talk about my team. But no, I'm tortured in the intermissions and during the games, frankly. And that's like Friday's game. It was torturous for me to watch, even though we were playing well. And maybe I'll get into, I don't know, it's just maybe put that behind me.
It makes zero sense because you don't get the away broadcast or the home broadcast. You simply get the not Canes broadcast, which makes no sense whatsoever.
It's crazy.
I think you got to stop talking crap about the league, Ray. I think that's a personal.
Well, maybe that's it.
Personal attack, sir.
Maybe they've heard our show and are cracking on me on purpose. I mean,
maybe
we are kind of the thing, Brad, the Storm Cellar. I mean, Rod.
We were the 5th rated hockey podcast in Finland, so I'm not
5th, but
not throwing our weight around. But I'm just saying,
we were number 1 in Liechtenstein.
Wow. We have fans in places like Yemen and the OAE and Australia.
I know we got fans everywhere. So, and big shout out to all of them for taking the time to listen to us for sure. Yeah, Brad, should I do the would you if thing?
Sure.
Especially about
that's always fun.
Seth Jarvis. This one is always fun. It's a couple questions for you, Carolyn. So here's the thing. The question that I have for you, it puts people in a weird situation. If I could guarantee that the Carolina Hurricanes, named after you.
Yeah, definitely.
Named after you, could win the Stanley Cup this year, guaranteed.
Yeah.
But they would have to immediately go into the dark ages and not be in the playoffs for 10 years. Would you say, yes, do it?
I'm going to be honest, this is maybe a very selfish reason to say no. But my reason to say no is I would not have the opportunity to actually be in America. And I feel like if this happened any point later than this season, I might actually be able to come over for some playoff games. But right now I can't. So, and then I'd have to wait 10 more years for that. So for me, it's a no.
I like it because you would have those 10 years to maybe do it. So it's just not guaranteed. I like
it. So that's the first thing. Now you
selfish hockey.
So I love that. I love that because I'd be the same way too. I prefer this team. Maybe they don't make it all the way and win it all, but they're entertaining and they're always in it, and we get playoff hockey, and that is what's really awesome. I love that. So next question. This is focusing on Seth Jarvis, though.
Okay. Yeah.
If I could guarantee that we win the Stanley Cup, but you have to trade Seth Jarvis, would you do it?
This one was a little bit harder, honestly.
It always is.
Like the guarantee.
I guarantee you win the Stanley Cup. With Jordan Stahl hoists it up in the air, people going nuts. It's going to be awesome.
But the question is Seth Jarvis still on the team while we win the Stanley Cup and we trade him afterwards, or we trade him before?
Trade him before.
You trade him before. Yep.
He's watching from the couch.
Okay, then I'm going to say no. If he was still on the team, I might have done it. But no, I need him to win the Stanley Cup with us. So, yeah.
There you go. And
I like she thought that. I don't know if it's the phraseology, but she's the first person who asked when was he traded, before or after.
I know, right?
Because for a lot of people, I think that would make a big difference, actually.
It would. See, there you go. I love the new guests because you are the first who's ever asked that. Is it like immediately after they won or whatever? So that's fantastic. And it shows what I love about that question. It's usually answered the same way. You put a nice spin on it, but it talks about the emotional connection that we all have for whatever reason with the players. And it's what makes some of us absolutely nuts and have weird takes because they either love certain players or hate certain players. I mean, that's just the way it is. Thank you so much for playing that with us. Now, is there anything else that you'd like to share before we move along and we start breaking down how things have gone? Like whatever you want to share, the floor is still yours.
Right now on the spot, not really, no.
Awesome. That's absolutely fine. And we've got a lot to talk about because, this past week, in our previous episode with Mike Solarte, who is ours, and we love him. He's ours. No other podcast gets him, as far as I'm concerned. We had a great time last week, and we broke down the following week, and we wondered how many points we could get out of it. And we spoke about the kind of pace and where we would finish. And, Brad and Mike wanted 6 points out of the available 8. I said I would have been happy with the 4. And we got the 4 right away, which was the hardest part that I thought. Playing the Jets and then turning around against Tampa, who can Vasilevsky us every now and again. And we got all 8 points. And people can crack on me for not believing. I mean, I want to win every game. You know what I mean? Like there would be nothing wrong with going 82-0 and then winning the next 16 games after that. That's what I want. I know it's never going to happen. But when you looked at that schedule, did you see a full 8 points out of last week? I didn't, but man, the boys did. They're playing fantastic and immediate results from the people that we brought in on the trade deadline. Carolyn, what did you think of these last 4 games?
I'm going to be honest, I really thought we were going to lose the game against the Jets. I don't know. I had a bad feeling about it. I was like, we've been so good now, and it's got to be the Jets. It just has to be. And then against Tampa, honestly, I thought this is more winnable than the Jets game. For me personally, it felt like that. But then when we won those 2, I felt like this can't be going too good right now. I don't know. I always feel like I jinx it in that way, but I always have a bad feeling about certain games. And I really felt terrible about the Red Wings game because we had won against them before, and I was like, oh, they're so down right now. They're really angry probably, and I don't know if we can put up with that because we've won so much recently. And I felt like maybe that's not gonna happen, but it did. So yeah, I was really surprised with them, and I did really not think we were gonna get all of the 8 points.
The Jets, right? Connor Hellebuck. That's really, to me, where it starts and ends because he is your Vezina Trophy winner. I mean, they've already written his name on the trophy. There's no other way to basically describe it. And I mean, he plays so well, and the Jets are so well rounded, so well rounded. But the Hurricanes dominated. I mean, well, I can't say dominated because it was tight for a while, but Brad, that was a great Sunday afternoon game for us. I mean, to see them handle the Jets, that's not an easy task by any stretch of the imagination. Who they are probably, I still think, the best team in the NHL's Western Conference.
Yeah, I mean, they're tied with the Capitals with Mikko Rantanen points to lead the league. Sorry, I just like to keep throwing Mikko under the bus.
Oh, yeah.
The biggest thing for me about that is Mark Jankowski gets the offense going. First goal is from Scott Morrow, who's the prospect who in his first couple of call-ups just didn't get a fair shake. I mean, he was the seventh D-man in 11-7, and he was moved all around. And this is the first time I think he's really gotten a good shake at some consistency, and we're starting to see very quickly what he can do. Right, so Jankowski, Morrow start that game. Then Jankowski gets his second from Roslovic and Robinson. Then Stankoven gets in the action. So in game 1, the new guys are already producing and looking, and not in a like weird, like, oh, that was an odd bounce or whatever. Like, that was legit. It looked like they belonged, right? Seth Jarvis gets the empty netter. So that was my biggest takeaway from that game, was the new guys looked like they were starting to fit. And then to continue on, Jankowski last night puts in 2 more, So in the NHL, according to the NHL, he's the first player to score 4 goals on 4 shots with a new team.
That's unbelievable. I love when we've got weird stats. Weird stats. I mean, like every league has them and so forth, but the NHL seems to come up with they might get the stats and weird records right. They get the marketing all wrong, but they do come up with some great little nuggets of information that way.
Yeah. I mean, that's been the biggest thing for the week is just the new guys fitting in. Stankoven, we haven't heard his name a lot, but he's a +4. He's got 2 points in 4 games. You know, those are the kind of things we're looking for is how well do these guys fit in? And from the eye test, they fit in really well.
For me, okay, let's how do I want to do this? We'll talk Stankoven first. Number one, they weren't kidding when they said he was short. Okay? They
He
weren't
is not
kidding.
a big man.
His that one assist on the one goal, I think it was with Jankowski. He went over there to celebrate, and he was like smelling armpits. Like he's little. But what I loved the most is that he's not afraid to get into the corners. He is, as advertised by Eric Tulsky, born to play with Carolina. He plays that way all the time. He is such a bulldog, so tenacious. I mean, every superlative has been said about him in that regard. Just a hound dog. He is after the puck. Puck possession is what, and I loved that he was brought in, and I don't know if he has a chip on his shoulder too, especially based on the way he came in with the trade. Okay. He's tied to quote unquote the trade that everyone has been talking about forever, right? He's tied to it. And how many Caniacs out there are like, this is what we got? Stankoven? I mean, it's cute that we can call him Stank or Stanky, but this is not what we gave up. And it's like, hold the phone, guys. This guy you're going to love right away. And he's proven it in my eyes. He's proven it already. When Mike Commodore, who lives here in Calgary, by the way, when Mike Commodore sees the jersey and says, I approve, that tells you something. Of course, Mike Commodore, defenseman in the robe with the hair, number 22, glorious. He gave the approval. I gave the approval too. I thought it was amazing. Jankowski kind of caught me off guard. And the one thing that I know about him is the quickness. He's got wheels and he's big. And they said, well, we'll just throw him on the 4th line and he'll be depth, right? And he won't always draw in. He's your 4th line center. Like right now, that's who he is. He's great in the circle and he's quick. And of course, on that first game against Winnipeg, I went full Goodwill Hunting. Brad and I have a picture when I got to meet him, Carolyn. So I don't know if you've seen the movie Goodwill Hunting. It's epic. It's wonderful. And the 2 main characters are sitting on a bench in Boston. And we replicated that. And so there's a couple of scenes in that movie where I was speaking on behalf of GM Eric Tulsky. And it was, how you like me now? Like that was the thing. And hey, how you like them apples? Like everyone was criticizing and crapping on Eric Tulsky. And that game is just like, look, I know what I'm doing, guys. I got the players that we need. And I got picks. So you know, I mean, it was all good. It was all good. I'll add this before we move on. I am hard pressed to find a better, more complete game this season than the one that we witnessed last night against Philadelphia. Now, look, Philadelphia maybe isn't the Jets, but when you look at that game and the way Carolina played, absolutely complete, total domination, smart plays. Well, like, I mean, things that were just no turn, or like even on the turnovers, Piotr the Great, who is had his most wins now in his career. And that didn't even happen last night. That happened earlier this week. And he added on to it by giving us a shutout. I mean, every aspect was just fantastic. Go gadget legs. I mean, seriously, that one save, no business making. Piotr, none. It should have been 2-1 at that point. And those kind of saves can be demoralizing. Like they can just take the light, and it did. And then Jankowski scoring that. I mean, 4 goals on 4 shots. The man's on fire. But
He'll
Philly
come down
had
to
no
earth,
answer.
but it's fun while it's lasting, right?
It is. It is. He's got lightning in a bottle. Let's hope he keeps it for a long time. You mentioned the Jets was the toughest one for you, Carolyn, but what did you think about the week in of itself? If you had the 4 games, and please don't let my opinion influence you, but what did you love the most about last week and what you're seeing since the trade deadline?
I mean, the obvious answer is the vibes. I feel like you've really seen how you now see how bad the locker room was when Miko was there. Like you just see the difference with everyone. It just feels different. And I want to say, I feel like the shutout yesterday was long coming. Like every game, at the end of the game, I was like, "This is a shutout. This is gonna be a shot." It never was. It never was. Not for Anderson. Not for Kochetkov. It just never came. It might have been because I was thinking that, but it was always. It felt like it was long coming, and I felt like I don't know. It's just all of the games were very great. The only thing, obviously, I think this is an obvious point. Anyone that watches the game can say this. The only thing that is really annoying right now is the power play, as I like to call it now, the powerless play.
Yeah.
It's just not happening right now, and it's annoying when you see such a great game. I mean, yesterday, yes, we scored on the power play, but it's just so annoying when you see the team doing so great, and then somehow when you think this should be even better, it's worse somehow, and you're like, how does this happen?
She's jumping right to the storm report before we get there. We'll get there eventually. I love that you are. This is called foreshadowing. It's making this show so much better,
Yeah.
Brad. You know what I mean? Like she's foreshadowing all of this stuff. And you know what? You're right. First of all, I do have to put you on the spot though, Carolyn.
Okay.
You were thinking shutout. Did you say shutout?
No, I
You didn't say,
didn't.
okay, so that's fine. Everyone's allowed to think it. Brad, you know how stupid-stitious I am.
Yep.
And so as long as you don't say it, you're not
Very
to blame. You're
deep
allowed to
down
think.
inside till it's over.
In fact, and I can tell you that I lost count how many times the play-by-play crew from the other team was saying it because they were purposely trying to make it not happen.
Yeah.
And they deserved what they got, frankly, if you had me. But nonetheless, now look, we talked about Stankoven, who I think is great and is coming along great. Put in a hard spot, but he's learning. Like he was put right on the first line power play, although that also had to do with Svechnikov being out. And so he was like in the bumper position. And we talk about Jankowski, who is great. This is the last that I wish to speak of the trade. The trade. Okay. But we've got to talk about it because after Sunday, I believe, was it Monday or Tuesday, Brad? I can't recall which day it was. But someone asked Rod, and Rod said that Mikko Rantanen told him that there were only 4 teams he was going to re-sign with, and Carolina isn't one of them.
Yeah, I don't remember which day. It might have been Monday. It was pretty quickly after.
It was
after
pretty
he was
quick.
gone.
And hearing those, first of all, the agent jumps in there trying to do a cleanup job for that mess and saying, no, he didn't say that. And Rod is clearly misinformed. First of all, Mr. Agent, you are an agent. Your job is to clean up messes for your players. So if you're going to ask me if I'm going to believe you over Rod Brindamore, who is the straightest shooter of anyone, who probably should be fined more by the league for the way he cracks on the refs. He's done interviews saying how the whole league could make everything better. He tells it like it is. And if he said that he was told Mikko wasn't resigning, that's the truth.
Yeah, I want to say something else here.
Sure, jump in.
Even if Mikko's agent was telling the truth, it doesn't make him look any better, in my opinion.
No.
Because even if he was like, so that is you giving your all, playing for a team that you actually wanted to maybe stay in, that doesn't make you look any better than saying didn't want to stay there. Like, is it an asshole move to never want to stay here and just still do what he did? Definitely. But it makes him somewhat look even worse if this was him playing as good as he is.
And further to that, I'll say this. Further to that, Brad. This has just got me discombobulated. It changes. Brad and I, when Rantanen got traded from Colorado and he comes here, there was shock. And that is true. He was shocked. How they got to the trade and stuff is crazy and still kind of muddied water. But the end result was the same. He was shocked. And I think all of us, was willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. He is not playing the way Rantanen has played with the Avs because of the shock. He was immediately put on the road with a bunch of new guys. And yes, there's Finns on the team to help him get acclimatized. Then there's the 4 Nations. He spent all of 1 week in Raleigh. Okay, all of 1 week, hardly any home games. He was greeted properly. The fans went nuts for him. They loved him and were willing to give him the benefit of the doubt because it takes time to play in Rod's system, right? That benefit of the doubt goes out the window the second that you hear that. Now you
hindsight's 2020, right?
It is, isn't it? It is. Now you look back at it, and the people that were saying, "Man, he's floating. He's not even putting in any effort whatsoever," and I was like cracking on them. So I owe an apology. They were right all along. You look at that, and especially the Boston game. The Boston one is what everyone goes back to. Abysmal. No effort, no hustle, no anything. And I've done a lot of talking, Brad, so I'm going to let you.
No, you're right. The reality is the truth is somewhere in the middle of all those things, right? Because his advanced stats here were good. They were better than Colorado.
Yeah.
But was he given 110%? Looking back on it, no. And the big thing for me is the story between him and his agent has changed like 3 times.
Yeah.
We told Carolina that he definitely wants to play there. Well, if you told us that, then we need to believe you because we weren't allowed to negotiate. So you basically told Carolina that he was willing to come there because you wanted Colorado to go, oh, he might move and increase their offer. That's what precipitated this. It was just to try and get, 12 and a half, 13 million bucks out of Colorado. In the end, his client is not where he wanted to be. He's at a rival. He's still in the West. He didn't really make a lot more money. I know people keep going on about the state sales tax, but there's a lot with that. It's only like 4% in North Carolina. You only pay taxes on the 41 games you play at home. Like, it's not that much money. It's just not a lot of money. To circle this back to the Friday game against Philly, Mark Jankowski is a point per game guy with the Hurricanes with 4 goals in 4 games, which is, 2 more than Mikko Rantanen had. Scott Morrow, in his latest iteration with the Canes, is a point per game player and got his first NHL goal against the Flyers. That's part of why I wanted to wrap it around. Also, point per game versus Mikko Rantanen's 0.46. So huge shout out to Scotty Morrow for, the 2 assists were nice. The goal was got to feel really good because he has been lighting up the AHL. And to see him next year, depending on where he's paired with, I would strongly consider Slavin, if I'm being perfectly honest. I think that would be a dynamite pair. And then the other piece of that Philly game is, what Carolyn said, shutout, Peter Kochetkov, which moves him into a tie with Peter Mrazek for 6th all-time in franchise history.
Beautiful.
1 behind Sean Burke and Kevin Weeks, who were tied for 4th.
Whoa.
And only 3 behind. Do you know who this might be, Ray? That should get, the fact I'm asking you should be a clue.
I want to guess Archie.
Nope.
Not Archie. Is it Cam
older.
Ward?
Go back.
Go further back?
Yeah.
Further back
franchise
than Archie?
History. Yeah.
Oh.
Franchise
Mike
history.
Liut?
Mike Liut is 3rd all-time with 13. And Pyotr Kochetkov, as a practical baby, a near infant, is only 3 behind Mike Liut. He is 10 behind Archie, and he is 17 behind Cam Ward. But huge shout out to Pyotr Kochetkov for when he's on, right? And what we need is stability there so that he's just on more than he's off. But when he's on, he's really, really good, as he showed last night. So huge shout out to both of those guys, Morrow and Kochetkov, for the performance they put out. I mean, you got a 4-game roadie over 8 days. Like a 5-0 win is a great way to start.
It is. And that shot collar that Martinook said he was going to get for Piotr seems to be working. He's not wandering nearly as much as he did before. He's actually playing the puck pretty well. He still scares me a little bit the way Archie did. But to go back to the Hartford Whalers and Mike Liut, oh my goodness. That makes me very, very happy.
There's very few goaltenders ahead of him on that shutout list, and they're all highly acclaimed, well-respected goaltenders.
Absolutely.
Sean Burks and Wiki were great in Carolina.
Oh, they were. They absolutely were.
You know what I mean?
Do we... You know what? Anyway, let's finally put Mikko Rantanen behind us. We will effort ourselves to never mention him again.
The name who shall not be said. Wait.
Oh, no, look at, you know what?
The Harry Potter one. Oh my God. Why did I?
I love the idea.
I love the idea.
I think someone posted that on Blue Sky and I saw it and I was like, yeah, the one whose name shall not be named. I think something like that. I don't know. But the Mikko thing, at this point, I'm over it. Every time something news dropped about it, I'm just like, okay, can we just not anymore?
Yeah. You know what? My version of that, what you were looking for, Carolyn, is a little different, and it's the team that shall not be named. Brad will tell you who the team is, but I can't bring myself to say. In fact, I don't even want to bring them up.
The Blue Blanket Rouge from
Yeah.
Montreal.
Oh my God, my goodness, the team that.
That's fine. Hey, maybe he'll get traded there, and you can have a twofer.
Oh, that would be so good.
Like,
You know what?
like if there's anywhere Ray hates in the whole world now, it's
Oh.
If he got traded there, that would be epic.
I like to have it all in one place. I keep
It would be easier.
My loathing all in one place would be nice. I don't want to spread it
Yeah.
out too thin.
Why don't we do a storm report? Because
That's exactly.
I mean,
where I was going.
we can look at the standings, but the reality is the Hurricanes are in a really good situation. They are probably going to get second in the Metro. The Devils, in theory, could catch them, but they just have too many injuries, I think. And the Hurricanes are the only team who are 8-2 in the last 10. A number of teams have 7, but only one team has 8, and that is your Carolina Hurricanes. So we are in good shape for the stretch.
I love it. I absolutely love it. The storm report. It's time for the storm report. And, Carolyn already started in. She knows what's going on. She gave us the foreshadowing that I spoke of earlier. We're going to do our storm report, the tropical depressions, the tropical storms, and the hurricanes, the best and worst, either players, aspects of the team, whatever you wish to bring up. And we usually like to finish on a high note. And so we'll start at the tropical depression. Carolyn, you already mentioned it, but it's worth mentioning once more. What is the most painful aspect for the Hurricanes, player or otherwise?
I mean, as you said, I mentioned before, the power play. I don't think there's any way around it anymore. We have to do something about it. I mean, right now it's not hurting us too much. I mean, as you said, we are 8-2. It's going great, but it will hurt us at some point. So we can't just go off of right now. We're fine with it, and we deal with it later. No, we need to deal with it now. And I don't know what exactly needs to change because I feel like we've tried a lot already, but something needs to be done there. It just feels like they're passing the puck around and not shooting. I mean, I think Seth Jarvis said that as well, that they just have to try to shoot, but that's always the easy answer, isn't it?
You know what? It is. How many times have we said, Brad, Carolina kills off the penalties that for the other team. They kill it for themselves, just passing it around the outside, hoping for the perfect shot that just doesn't exist. I mean, there is no such thing as a perfect shot. We saw when it works, the perfect example of how it does work. When you have people in front of the net and you put the puck there and you cause the craziness, guys like Taylor Hall can jump in and throw it in the net and you're celebrating, right? Like that's, you gotta, I hate going back to it because they never did like the slogan that they had last season, but cause chaos. That's really how you have to do it, and you'll get your results, but you got to have guys willing to get there, willing to get in front. Brad, your tropical depression. This suddenly gets really hard. I didn't realize how hard this is. And in fact, I'm throwing you under the bus first because I still need time to think of mine. And so I'm putting you on the spot because you're the brains of the operation. And
what depresses me more than our power play is a heck of a thing to ask somebody. Because I don't know.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's. I mean, when you score as many shorthanded goals as you have scored power play goals over, I forget what the date range is now. Like, it's not good. I did come up with something though, and this, people may not see this as depression, but I worry that it could be. When Svechnikov and Orlov are healthy, who sits? Yeah. And it could, in my mind, if they don't continue to sit, that could be a depression because the people who are filling in for them are playing great. And Svech is my boy. Like since we picked him up, he has been my go-to. I love that kid.
Yeah.
but he's not progressing as a player. His points are down. He's still taking bad penalties. Not as many for a run there, but now they're back up again. Orlov is just not recovering to where we know he can play. And maybe that's just age, or maybe they're really hurt. But I worry about Rod gets two guys back, and we know how Rod is. Rod's a great, like, let's put Andre in on the first line and put Orlov in as second D. And, then you sit Morrow, who's a point per game kid right now, who's playing really well and defensively very responsible overall. And, who else do you sit then? Like, somebody's got to sit for Svechnikov, who everybody's playing better. Like, the things are clicking. If I'm Rod, when those guys are healthy, if you can send them to the AHL for a rehab stint, like whatever you can do to draw it out before you have to make a decision is fine. And if they have to sit a couple games, let them. I mean, it's going to hurt their feelings some, but too bad. They're big boys. They're professional athletes. They're paid to deal with that. Because Svech needs to show more. I mean, he just does.
Yeah.
He can't coast. And I feel like we see that sometimes. And he does a lot of things that maybe don't show up on a score sheet. But the guys who are in from right now are doing those things and showing up on the score sheet. Same for Orlov. Well, Orlov's had some really great plays and some really terrible plays. And every time there's a defensive lapse, I just assume it was Burns or Orlov. And to his credit, we talk about Dungeons and Dragons a fair bit. We intertwine it sometimes.
Yes, we do.
I don't know what necromancer Brett Burns went to, but he's not playing like death anymore. And he's offensively still 2 points on the power play for the year, so he should not be on the power play. But at least he's not dragging down the defense. I mean, whatever Lich or Demi Lich has given him renewed, vigor is props to that guy.
I'm sorry, Brad. I shouldn't laugh.
It's good. I mean, am I wrong? I mean, I don't know about completely reborn, but he looks, he's skating faster. He's making better decisions again. He's not the problem on defense that he was 30 weeks ago. We got to give Ray time to collect himself. Poor Ray.
Yeah. I just wanted to throw in, I agree with everything you said. I want to add to that. I think if I had to choose who I sit between Orlov and Svech, it's going to be Orlov. Like, if I had to put one of them back, I would put Svech back. But I agree with you right now. I would try to go with this team as far as I can. As long as I can stay with this, I would do that. Even though I also like Svechnikov, I don't know. It's just the vibes are great. You're doing great right now. So why never change a winning system. So yeah.
I think that's perfect, especially for a team that relies on a defensive first posture. Right, you can't, you know what I mean? You can't sit Svechnikov. If the defense is playing well, you sit Orlov. And at least with Svechnikov, you can slot him in on the third or fourth line. I know some people were asking, why is Stankoven on the third line with the two Jordans? And the only thing I could come up with is he's a player. He's going to be a top six guy for you. However, if you were to say, hey, who are the two best people for him to learn the system from? I can't think of any two better players for him to learn from than the two Jordans. So I think putting him with those two Jordans in some ways makes some sense, right? So Stankoven is on their line. He's not exactly in the role we want him, but he's with the two guys who are going to show him this is how you play Canes hockey. And then as he's able to move up, great. Like you said, if you bring Svech back and put him in the lineup, well, you can slot him in the third line. You can slot him in the fourth line. You can move other guys around. He doesn't have to be a top six guy. He's played up and down. Orlov, unless he has a resurgence, I don't know where you slot him in right now because Morrow should not sit for Orlov.
Yeah, well, I also think. Yeah, I also think that the sitting Morrow thing would not only be bad for Morrow. I think that would also show the wrong sign where you're like, we want to have the new guys, but then you put back Orlov, who has not been great, and you don't let the rookie play. It feels like, I don't know, it just feels wrong. I wouldn't do it. I hope we don't do it, but I don't have any power in doing anything there. But yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. So Ray's having some technical difficulty. He'll be back with a minute.
Yeah.
I'm gonna skip over Ray for tropical depression.
Yeah.
Because I mean the thing you talked about, the power play, is really the one bright shining example. So let's move on. So tropical storm, like this could be something that is doing okay but could be better, or it could be something that was really good and is now getting worse. Do you have any thoughts on kind of what's getting better or getting worse? Something that's kind of in flux.
I think turnovers are getting better. Like bad passes. Like I feel like the games now that we've won, that is one thing that has changed drastically. That we haven't just directly passed to the opposing team 20 times in 2 minutes. It feels like we did that before a lot. Like every second pass, I was like, what are you even trying to do here? Why pass to the opponent? Like I get it if it deflects or something, but it was just very obvious. And I feel like this is getting a lot better. We're not 100% there. I mean, the goal, I think it was against the Red Wings where Martin turned it over, and just that was terrible. That was one of the examples where I was like, it can still be better, because that is just, I don't know what he was trying to do there, but yeah, it's getting better at least.
Excellent. Yeah, I like that one a lot. Ray, are you with us? Can you do a tropical storm?
Technical difficulties. You gotta love them or hate them. I can't remember which. Look, a tropical storm for me. Really, I couldn't add to tropical depression. That was my own personal way of getting out of having to make such a difficult decision. Is just claim, technical difficulties.
Drop out of the meeting. The best part about Zoom meetings.
So sneaky. Look, a tropical storm for me right now. Oh, I have to say, and on the way up to me is Sean Walker. I really, really enjoy the way. I mean, you sometimes lose him there on the third line, and you know what? I'm going to expand it a little bit. Gostisbehere as well. The pair, when they're played together, they are on the way up. They are getting back into pace, and Sean Walker has been very, very sharp. He's made some great passes. He's pinching at the right times. He's just been very sound. And yes, he was the guy that gave that breakaway up to Philly last night. That said, one mistake in how many games, I'll take that every day of the week and twice on Sunday. Like, honestly, he's been absolutely fantastic, and he is on the rise. And to see that pairing get that much better on the go, I'm loving it. And as to, your comments concerning, Svech and Orlov, I mean, keeping them out, I mean, we could just, the more rest that these guys get, the better, don't you think? I mean, I'm not going to say this is a Mark Stone long-term injured reserve type move that will have them back for the playoffs and stuff. I don't want anything like that. Let's be on the up and up, but let's not rush them back either. Let bones mend and let, muscles heal and come back hard. But Sean Walker and his partner Gostisbehere, they're playing great. Gostisbehere is especially important because he is infamous for his offense / famous for the offense, infamous for the defense. He's actually picked up his defensive game as well, and he's not putting himself into bad positions. And what more can you ask of your D? So that's my tropical storm. The hurricane. This is going to be hard. This is the really hard part now. I mean, hard in that there's so many to choose from. You really can't be wrong. But Carolyn, you're a guest.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. I was thinking, who am I going to pick here? And I'm going to go with Jankowski, honestly. I think for me, 4 goals and 4 shots. He's not going to continue that pace, but it's just amazing how well he fit in. And I was so happy when he scored the first goal against the Jets. It was also an amazing goal. Also, the assist was amazing from Morrow. It just felt so freeing in a way. I don't know. And he's just been amazing recently, and I hope he can continue it, even if it's not the exact same pace.
Yeah, what a great pick. And Brad, I'll let you go up next here again. We're looking at your choice for Hurricane. There's so many. There's so many.
I was thinking about this, and I'm actually looking at numbers real quick because I'm interested to see if my eye test and what my brain are telling me are, are reasonable, right?
Yeah.
So let me do this.
And
Click on that. And
that's
okay, so yes,
funny.
I'm not crazy.
Okay, cool. Well, I didn't ever think so, but
Oh.
The
play of our goaltenders has gotten better, and I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. This probably could be a tropical storm, but we're going to give them a hurricane because Pyotr Kochetkov has lowered his goals against by like 0.6 goals against from the start of the year.
That's a lot
in the last 6 weeks. His save percentage went from sub 900, and since February 1st, he's at 927, which is phenomenal. Very happy about that. In fact, that's one of the highest I believe in the league. I think he's a top 10 goalie right now with a 927 save percentage. And some of the guys are like Merlainen, I think, played one game, right? He got a shutout. So like he doesn't Thatcher Demko has, 3 games in that span. He's higher. Grubauer has 2. So of the guys who have played, 7, 8 games or more, it's basically Hellebuck and then Kochetkov and then Aiden Hill and then Spencer Knight. So Kochetkov in particular has played really well. But I wanted to give Freddie some accolades too. He looks a little more comfortable now that he's been back some. So goaltending wins championships. Those guys need to continue to play well. I think right now, if the playoffs started tomorrow, Pyotr Kochetkov needs to be your 1A. Even if you do some kind of goalie rotation of some kind, Pyotr has to be in your mind of, okay, the kid is playing really well. Let's see if we can ride that out.
That's a nice difficulty to have, isn't it? And when you put Kochetkov in the same sentence as Hellebuck, that is rarefied air. But the numbers prove it. His play is proving it as well. That's an excellent pick. It's funny, Philadelphia play-by-play yesterday had called him a 1B. Like, they were saying, Carolina's going to be in the playoffs, and we think Freddie Anderson is their number 1 guy. And it's like, that's not a fait accompli either. Like that's up in the air, and he is he's going to make Rod make a tough decision, and that's really what we want. So
real quick, Ray, just because Kane Stats brand just posted this a few minutes ago. In their last 4 starts, Kochetkov is 4-0 with a 960 save percentage, 0.99 goals against, and a 601 goal saved above average. Frederick Anderson is 3-1 with a 932 with a 1.76 goals against and 3.31 goals saved above.
More of that, please.
Phenomenal stats.
Yeah, more of that, please. That's amazing. See, that's why we like them too. Thanks, because they come up. Kane Stats always comes up big and
making me look smart.
Great
I like
stuff, making us all better. So I said that earlier, and I hate being not hypocritical, but going back on my word. I promised that we weren't going to talk about the trade, but now I've got to talk about the trade because I am selecting one Taylor Hall as the Hurricane. Wow. This is the Taylor Hall who maybe isn't playing MVP of the league level. However, he has found new life. He has found new life here in Carolina. And I know that we went overboard asking for Eric to sign Natchez immediately when he was on that heater at the start of the season. Sign him, sign him, sign him. And he fell back. Taylor Hall, who is on the precipice of having a tie with Rob Ramage as the only Rob Ramage. That's going way, way back, Carolyn. This guy, this is old school. Like, almost before my times, almost. Rob Ramage, a number 1 overall pick, played for 8 teams in his career. 8. That doesn't normally happen to number 1 overall picks. I don't imagine that's going to be the case for Connor McDavid. You know what I mean? Or Sid Crosby. You just don't see it. Taylor Hall has 7. If he does not re-sign, it will be 8. He will tie Rob Ramage. And that blows my mind. Number 1, that he's been with that many teams. I didn't think that was the case. Number 2, how in the world would Carolina justify not re-signing him based on the play that he's had since he's been here? Amazing. Taylor Hall, who scored on the power play, who hustles. And how about the power play goal that he got? He's the one that drew the penalty that he turned around and scored on against Philly. He drew the penalty with his hustle and then immediately goes out and scores the power play goal. But what more do you want? And he's not going to be an expensive re-sign either. The same way Robinson isn't. Taylor Hall, you are my Hurricane. I hope you're my Hurricane for a very, very long time, until the end of your career.
You know what we could have done? Any one of us, we could have picked the trade itself. I just realized.
You've got a
because
point.
ever since the trade, everything's coming up Millhouse.
It is. Oh, I love when everything comes up Millhouse. Man, oh man. You're right. And no one ever breaks the trade down the way you do, Brad, which is they just completely omit Mikko Rantanen altogether. They just omit it. What the trade was Natchez and Drury, who we loved, for 2 firsts, 2 thirds, and Hall.
And Stankoven and
Jankowski. Well, Jankowski didn't happen in that one. So Stankoven's in there as well.
True, that's true.
Like, that's a great trade. That's a great way to put it. So there you go. Sign Eric. I know you're listening. Can I call you Eric? Yeah, I can call you Eric. You don't mind. You're the smartest person in the room. You're the smartest person in every room. And people cracked on you for the whole debacle. And that wasn't on you. And I think you did a great job. Please go out there, prove me right again. Go sign Taylor Hall. I'm on a first name basis with the GM, don't you know? That's just how I roll.
You'll have to get him on then.
All right, I'll get right on that. He's a busy guy. You know, he's a busy guy, and sometimes it's hard to. Yeah. What a great show. You know, we have so much fun, and we have the most fun speaking to our European guests. They come a long way to join us. And they show that hockey is for everyone. Sometimes it doesn't feel that way. I know, Carolyn, you have felt that disregarded at times because it's not as big in Europe. I would feel disregarded if I couldn't get my favorite player's jersey either. Like that just blows my mind. But you're still a fan. You're still cheering hard. We hear you. And we would love to have you back in the future anytime. The Storm Cellar door is open for you. Thank you so much for
definitely
joining. It was
Yeah,
such great.
thank you so much for having me. It was a lot of fun.
So, Brad, there's really only one thing left to do at this point.
Wait till Thursday for a game.
Oh, that's really gonna suck. That's really
10:30 start time against the Sharks. So everybody can catch up on our rest, though.
That's right. We can catch up. Bring your loud
And Carolyn can
voices.
watch it for breakfast, I'm guessing.
Yeah, maybe.
There you go. The other thing that we can do is go Canes.
Go Canes.
Yeah, go Canes.
Thank you everyone for tuning in. Ray and I greatly appreciate your support in helping us produce an informative and fun podcast. As always, we'd like to say that we believe hockey is for everyone. Whether you're a Caniac or a bunch of jerks, doesn't matter, as we're just a couple of jerks anyway. We would love to hear your questions, comments, and suggestions. We will do our best to answer anything hockey related. You can reach us via email at stormcellar97@gmail.com. On Twitter, we are at stormcellar97, and on Facebook at facebook.com/stormcellar97.